Imagine being completely aware, fully conscious, able to hear your own breathing, but unable to move, unable to see, unable to escape. And the only thing surrounding you is silence, darkness, and tons of concrete slowly pressing against your body. Now here's the question. How long do you think you could survive like that? 1 hour, 1 day? Or would your mind break before your body does? Because real people have lived through this exact nightmare, not for hours, but for 6 full days, buried alive under earthquake rubble. And the most disturbing part is, they didn't just survive, they remembered everything, every sound, every thought, every second of it. So what actually happens in the very first moment when a building collapses on you? Do you feel pain, or does your brain protect you from it? Because survivors say something shocking in the first few seconds. Everything feels unreal, like your brain refuses to accept what just happened. The ground shakes, the walls explode into dust, and before you can even react, darkness takes over. Complete darkness. Now imagine opening your eyes, but seeing nothing, not even your own hands, just blackness. And that's when the panic hits. Your heart starts racing, your breathing becomes rapid, and your brain begins asking one terrifying question. Am I buried alive? Now here's where it gets worse. You try to move, but something is stopping you. Maybe your leg is trapped under debris. Maybe your chest is compressed. Maybe your arms are stuck. And in that moment, your body realizes something terrifying. You are not getting out easily. Now think about this. Every instinct in your body is telling you to fight, to push, to escape. But what if moving even an inch could cause more rubble to collapse on you? What would you do? Stay still and risk dying slowly, or struggle and risk dying instantly? Because this decision alone has determined life or death for many survivors. And then comes the next phase. Breathing, something you never think about, suddenly becomes your biggest challenge. The air around you is filled with dust, fine particles of concrete, glass, insulation. Every breath burns your lungs. Your throat dries instantly. And yet, you have to keep breathing, slowly, carefully, because panic breathing will only make it worse. And here's something even more disturbing. In many cases, survivors aren't completely crushed. They're trapped in tiny air pockets, spaces so small you can barely move, spaces that could collapse at any moment, and you don't know how stable they are. Every small movement, every shift in your body could trigger another collapse. So now ask yourself, would you stay completely still, in total darkness, not knowing if help is coming? Because the moment you stop moving, something else starts moving, your mind. And that's where the real horror begins. Because in complete silence and darkness, your brain starts creating its own reality. You begin to hear things, faint sounds, distant voices, maybe rescuers, maybe imagination. And you don't know which is real. Time completely loses meaning. Minutes feel like hours. Hours feel like days. And your brain starts asking another terrifying question. What if no one knows I'm here? And that thought alone can break a person. Now imagine this. Hours pass. Your body starts to ache. Your muscles cramp. Your throat is dry. Your lips begin to crack. And you realize something even more terrifying. You're going to be here for a long time, maybe days. And that's when survival changes completely. It's no longer about escaping. It's about lasting, conserving energy, controlling your breathing, keeping your mind from collapsing before your body does. Because in situations like this, people don't just die from injuries. They die from panic, from dehydration, from giving up. And yet, some people survived, not because they were stronger, but because they stayed calm. They slowed their breathing. They minimized movement. They controlled their thoughts. And most importantly, they refused to give up. But as time passes, your body begins to change. Dehydration starts. Weakness sets in. Your thoughts become slower. Your reality becomes distorted. And that's when the next stage begins. The stage where your body is no longer in control. And what happens after that is even more terrifying than being trapped. Now, imagine this. It's been more than 24 hours. You're still alive, still trapped. But everything inside your body feels different. Your throat is completely dry. Your lips are cracked. Your muscles are stiff from not moving. And your mind is no longer thinking clearly. Now here's the question. What happens to a human brain when it's left in complete darkness for days? No light, no sense of time, no human contact, because survivors describe something deeply disturbing. After a certain point, your brain starts to disconnect from reality. You begin to hallucinate, not just sounds, but full experiences. You might hear people talking to you, calling your name, even though no one is there. And sometimes it feels so real that you respond. You talk back, you believe it, and that's when the line between reality and imagination completely disappears. Now think about the psychological pressure. You don't know if it's day or night, you don't know how long it's been, you don't even know if rescue is coming, and your brain starts asking the most dangerous question, should I just give up? Because giving up doesn't feel dramatic. It feels quiet, slow, like letting yourself drift. And many people reach this point. But the ones who survive, fight it, they force themselves to stay conscious. They talk to themselves. They create imaginary routines, anything to keep their mind active. Because once your mind shuts down, your body follows. Now here's where the physical breakdown becomes critical. By day 3, dehydration reaches dangerous levels. Your body starts shutting down non-essential functions. Your energy drops to almost zero. Your muscles weaken, your breathing becomes shallow, and if you're injured, the pain becomes constant, sharp, and unavoidable. And yet, some survivors did something unimaginable to stay alive. They collected moisture from the air, licked condensation from surfaces, even drank dirty water trapped in debris. Because at that point, survival is more important than comfort. Now ask yourself, would you be able to do that? Would you have the mental strength to keep going, knowing that every second could be your last? Because by day 4 and 5, your body is at its limit. Your thoughts are slow, your vision distorted, your hearing unreliable, and every second feels heavier than the last. And then, something happens. A sound, faint at first, almost impossible to hear, a distant knock, a vibration, a voice, and your brain doesn't trust it. Because you've been hallucinating for so long, you don't know if it's real. And that's one of the most heartbreaking parts. Sometimes, rescue is close, but the survivor doesn't respond because they think it's just another illusion. But for those who hold on, for those who respond, for those who keep trying, everything changes. Because on day 6, rescuers finally locate signs of life. Maybe a sound, maybe movement, maybe just luck. And they begin digging, slowly, carefully, because one wrong move could collapse everything. And inside that darkness, the survivor hears it again. But this time, it's real. Voices, tools, movement, hope returning after days of silence. But even then, rescue is not instant. It can take hours to reach them. And during those final moments, they must hold on, just a little longer. And when they are finally pulled out into the light, their body is weak, dehydrated, barely functioning, but alive. And that's what makes this story unbelievable. Surviving not just the collapse, but the days after, the darkness, the isolation, the mental battle, the slow breakdown of the human body. And yet, they made it. And as you think about it, ask yourself, could you survive that? Not just physically, but mentally. Because in the end, survival isn't about strength. It's about not giving up, even when everything inside you is telling you to stop.